just like Mr. Dadwal said, we'll just jump right in. And of course, to our first topic and our first speaker. Change is happening and we need to be a part of it. So what is it? What is the future of marketing and how do we respond to it? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our first speaker, the CEO of Mobile Marketing Association, a proven business builder both traditionally and digitally, and the author of What Sticks, Why Most Advertising Fails, and How to Guarantee Yours Succeed. Let's give it up, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Greg Stuart.
That's enough music. Great. Good morning, everyone. Well, that was not good. Come on. You didn't do well. Let's try over here. Good morning. They're so much better than you are. I don't know what to say. Listen, I am deeply honored to be here again. You all invited me here 9 years ago at a pivotal moment for the digital business in Indonesia, and I'm honored. Kapanlagi, Dektech, and Compass all invited me here to come and share a vision of where the world was going for internet. And I loved it. You're so hospitable. I'm having a great time now. I totally appreciate all of your kindness and generosity and conversations while I'm here. So thank you for that. Now, here's what's powerful about what I want to share today. I'm lucky in my role because fundamentally my role is about helping to guide a future for an entire industry. Not many people get that opportunity to do that, but I have and fortunate to do so. And I'm hoping the same as when I was here 9 years ago, when that was an inflection point for internet advertising, that same moment is happening right here now for mobile. And it's because of the role that I play within the MMA and the board members that I work with to try to chart out that future, I'm hoping to bring and share that with you today, so that you have a sense of where to guide your businesses and what you can do to build better growth. Now, as you can tell, we have some of the world's biggest CMOs here that sit on the board with me to help define that future. And if I have time today, and I think I will, I'm going to show you 2 points that I think you should be most focused on for the next generation of marketing. And I say that with extreme confidence. I heard a business executive, a little bit older than me, one time say, the only advantage to being older is that you start to have pattern recognition. And I've been around long enough at this point. I've been in advertising marketing 35 years. I wrote a book. It makes you think about what you really believe to be true in the world around marketing. And so I feel uniquely positioned to be able to try and share that with you today. Now, MMA does a lot of work. I'm going to try to touch on 2 things today, just so you know. Matt, our marketing attribution think tank, what Rohit mentioned here a moment ago, and some work we've done around Marketer.org today. And that hopefully will paint a picture about how you build your business more aggressively. Now I need to say one thing though. Little hand raising here. How many of you have been to New York City? How many? A few of you. A few of you? Okay. How many of you that have been to New York know that people in New York speak fast? Do you know that? Yes? Yeah, I see a hand up. Yes, okay. The challenge is that in New York City, people think I speak really fast. So if I do that, if you'd be kind enough for me, just kind of wave your hand a little bit and tell me to slow down. Otherwise, I'll get too excited about my topic, and I'm not here to sort of make this more confusing than it needs to be. Okay, here's our topic for today. First off, there was a problem. We didn't have any idea what the value of connecting to consumers through this device was. There was no methodology that allowed us to do that. And in that problem, in that challenge of trying to solve that particular problem, we realized that marketing measurement overall is failing. It will not guide us to the future that you as marketers are required by your CEOs and your boards and your shareholders to get to. Marketing measurement was failing, but it was more significant than that. We realized too that there was another solution. It wasn't just measuring better, it was much more complicated than that. So I'm going to share you where the world is going and what's going to happen next around that. So as mentioned, 2011, I was asked to come in and run the MMA. I had the opportunity to be sort of at the forefront of internet advertising and marketing as a business, and here was a unique opportunity to do it for the next great transformational channel. No one in America, at least, or from around the world, from what I could see, was able to measure mobile in our marketing mix. Nobody could tell you investing in this device relative to TV, radio, magazines, what was the value? Nobody knew. Nobody had built the platform for what was the single greatest transformational change in consumers' interaction with media, this device, right? Mobile is so powerful. Never have we had something that we carried with us all day, day in and day out. Let me ask this question. How many of you slept with this on the bed or on the nightstand next to you last night? Everybody. Yeah, admit it. You can admit it. It's okay. Never have we had that kind of relationship. Oh, and by the way, she said silence your phones earlier. Nah, you can leave them on. I don't care. Leave the ringers on. MMA is okay with that. So listen, we had a big problem we had to solve, right? So here's what we found. We did some research. As Rohit mentioned it earlier, we called it SMOCS. It stands for Smart Mobile Cross Marketing Effectiveness. It was setting out to try to understand what does the modern marketing mix look like and how do we optimize into that in order to drive better business growth. Now, SMOCS was interesting. We've now done almost a dozen studies with major brands. We've had an opportunity to execute those studies in both China, Brazil, UK, and the US, so we now have broader global pattern recognition. Those were multimedia campaigns. We were able to analyze and isolate the investment into TV, into print, into internet, into cinema, social, and isolate those values and compare mobile back to that. Now, there's an important part on this slide I want you to notice because I'm going to come back to it. In the lower right, there's a red box. Notice how simple the campaigns were when we started, like for AT&T and MasterCard, and how much more complicated they got to the end. There's a very important point in that I'm going to come back to. Now, in doing these studies, I'll short-circuit a lot of the methodology and all that. Just trust me that it was well validated what we were doing here. What we found is that as a general rule, a brand across the world should be investing about 15% of its total budget into mobile, 15-20% into mobile. That's the average. Just hold that number for a little bit. We also know that when a brand invested 15-20% of its total marketing budget into mobile, we saw an increase of sales, or well, brand effect about 20%. We saw sales increases of about 7%, maybe to 20% in total. We also then saw this crazy thing in Brazil, and if you've been to Brazil, you understand it's a crazy country to begin with. We saw an increase of 60% in sales just by putting mobile in the marketing mix. Campaign with mobile, campaign no mobile. With mobile, plus 60% in sales. Generally, though, 15% on average increase in sales. That was the power of starting to learn this channel. And we built a lot of knowledge from SMOCS. We first off found out, because I even hear a little bit of that here today, I hear that very loud in some other countries in Europe and the US, that TV is dead. Well, I'm here to tell you TV is not dead. TV continues to be a very powerful channel. Even if you're like me, I have teenagers in my household, and they never watch TV. They watch on their phones, they watch on their computers, but they never watch TV as we know it, as I grew up with. But nonetheless, we've done the measurement, and we know TV works. In fact, specifically, we know that TV, on average, should be about 70 to maybe 40% of a total campaign. Okay, so TV is still very real. It still has real impact. I would never suggest moving away from that. We did, though, learn that in mobile, a 15-second commercial is worth twice what a 30-second commercial is. In this environment, if you make me try to pay attention for 30 seconds, apparently my attention drifts, and I don't watch, and I don't get the message. But in 15 seconds, I'll give you enough time as a consumer to pay attention to your message. And understand, the 200 index here, this twice, is on a cost return on investment. It's not just impact, regardless of cost. This is taking in cost dynamics. So every dollar you invest in 15-second video commercials in mobile are worth twice as much as that investment in 30s, and certainly reduces consumer annoyance. Now, we also noticed too, and this was probably one of the most dramatic insights, is that mobile works and works now, immediately. I don't need to run 15 to 12 to 15 commercials as I do in TV to capture the same level of impact. I can run 2 to 3 ads in mobile, and the consumer gets the message and understands what was said, interprets that, takes it into their being, is aware of the message. This environment, the small screen, works better, believe it or not. I know it's contradictory to what we'd expect. It's contradictory, I think, to what us as marketers generally thought to be true. I had somebody from a quick service restaurant say to me one time, they said, my food only looks good on a big screen in TV. And I said, but that's not the whole message. That's not the whole thing, just to make it visually look appealing. I should understand as part of it. But what you're communicating in that message and the ability to run that in an environment that a consumer really pays attention makes a really big difference. And we proved that with Smocks. Now, there were a ton of things that also we learned from Smocks. I'm not going to take time for that today, but remember, the point is here, we're starting to reset our understanding through, in part, new measurement techniques. And that's a powerful, powerful opportunity. But that's not even the most important thing I'm here to share with you today. What we found is an incredibly disruptive trend that I honestly did not see coming. I wasn't aware of the impact that when mobile is done right, it could really have on a business. And it's not done under the usual constructs of which I was taught to be a marketer. I had to begin to rethink everything I had learned in the first 25 years of my career of what I really thought to be true in the world. And it's not just measuring mobile. That's not our biggest issue. We need to rethink the whole stack. We need to rethink how we conceptualize and measure TV and radio and magazines. And I can no longer assume that I think by looking at an ad, I understand that. Here's one really good example. This is a campaign by Unilever for Magnum. I notice it's actually out here in the hallway. That's kind of coincidence today. Nice. Now, here's the data I'm going to show you. That ad is a beautiful ad. If I was in the boardroom, a conference room, when we were looking, I would say that ad communicates clearly the essence of the brand. It communicates to the strategy. It's a great ad. We should run that ad as many places as we can. Now, the data I'm going to show you here is that the way that Smocks works, is we're able to take an average return on investment. So all the media in that campaign, TV and print and internet and mobile, we add all those up. We index that to 100. That's a baseline 100. They don't want me to give you the real data, so I just index, show percentages. Now, what's interesting is that ad is a display ad of mobile, produced, it was 75% better for driving brand awareness. Who wouldn't be happy with an ad, a singular ad, that works better 75% than the other ads in the campaign? We would call that success. And for brand awareness, it did that. Does anybody want to guess what its impact on sales was? 0. That ad, wait, does this translate? Tell me. That ad sucked. Is that good? Is that a bad word? Should I not say it like that? Sorry, is that okay? Okay, good. You're nodding your head. I did all right. Okay, good. I never really know where I am. And in New York, you see in New York, offending people is the right way to do it. We try not to do that here. Although, oh no, I shouldn't make any political statements, should I? I'm not going to talk about our president. We'll leave that out of this. Yeah. Yeah, a little bit? Yeah, okay, yeah. We don't like him either. So here's the thing. That ad produced no sales. Now, let me remind you how perfectly I know this. In Smocks, we are able to figure out, okay, here's a good example. All of you were exposed to that ad in mobile. None of you were exposed to that in mobile. You bought no more than you did. There was no difference. Exposure to the ad didn't produce any increase. Now, listen, you had a 75% higher brand awareness than this group. Did I do that right? You had the ad, you didn't have the ad. I gotta make sure I get my sides right. You had the ad, right? But no difference in sales between the two of you. The ad made no difference. Now, here's what's interesting. When we layered in data, and it might be sort of obvious for an ice cream product, but I'm going to explain to you why it's even more impactful than you think. When we layered in weather data. When we targeted people who were in an area that 80 degrees Fahrenheit, what is that, 26, 27 Celsius, somewhere around there? So warmish, not as warm as maybe here most of the time, but warmish. We started to see that brand awareness went up a little bit. We got a little boost, but look at what happened to sales. Plus 50% better. When the weather was 80 degrees, you bought 50% more. Wait, you were targeting the mobile ad with the data, right? 50% more than this group over here. Powerful. A little tweak. Now what's interesting is that you could say for an ice cream product, of course we target the summer, right? We target the warmer days of the year. But for us, this worked also if that warm day occurred during the sort of winter or fall months in the States, in the northern part of the States where more weather variation. So we found a new nugget about this business. We've learned how to invest into that in a way that we didn't see, just by simply adding data to the mix. Mobile allows us to do that. Another example for Allstate. In Allstate, we found that if we take demographic targeting at 100 index, right, a baseline, targeting contextual 200, targeting behavioral targeting, which by the way was they visited a dealership yesterday, we see a 3x increase in performance. What's interesting about this example is that the CMO of Allstate, an insurance company in America, is my chairman. And I watched him ask his agency what was the increase from behavioral targeting. She refused to answer the question 3 times. When she finally did, she said 20 to 30% increase. He said, what have I told you? It was 3 times as valuable. We must understand not just that there's an opportunity, which might seem obvious, like the weather example in Unilever's Magnum, but that what is the magnitude of that change? And then everything changed. Our good friend at Wendy's, the burger quick service restaurant, did their own study. And within their study, they were actually able to identify 2 segments that drove their business more than anything we'd ever seen. Specifically, 100 index for all media, coupon users were 5x, those who commuted by that Wendy's also a little over 5x. There was a few people who were coupon users, not Wendy's coupons, just any coupon users, like promotions. And those of you who drove by the restaurant here, you went to Wendy's 5 times more often than this group did. 5 times more. Now, I could have guessed that might be true, but not at this scale. And it was so impactful because this wasn't just some small target segment. This was a huge percent of the spend. This was almost 10%. Think about if 10% of your marketing plan works 5 times better than the rest of the marketing plan, what is that impact? I'll tell you, that means you should be spending 33% of your mix in mobile, and get this, that increases store traffic, i.e. sales, plus 166%. You bought 166% more Wendy's than this group over here. Who's kicking McDonald's ass now? Right? Can I say that? Is that okay? Maybe, maybe not. Okay. That's what's happening here. They have a new competitive weapon that dramatically changes the impact that they have for their business, all because they understand their customer better and how to target and reset. Now, what's interesting about this, too, this is data. We haven't even started to change the creative if we start to do that. So much so that whereas the metric was 15 to 20%, it's now 33%, and that where sales were somewhere around 7 to 15%, maybe 60%, now it's a whole nother number of 166. And it's all because they ran so many different elements of mobile that dramatically changed the world. So here's the answer, everybody. This is what you must start thinking about today. Talk to your agencies. Talk to your compatriots, marketers, both in region, across APAC, and even around the world. You must get to a new solution, and Rohit mentioned it earlier today. You must get to a tool called multi-touch attribution. Let me ask, this is a hard question. How many of you feel like you really understand multi-touch attribution? There can't be too many. A few? A couple people. Okay, I see a few hands. Listen, it's complicated and it's hard. Now, multi-touch attribution, what it means is it basically means using advanced analytics techniques on individual user level data. You have to be able to target at the individual. You have to know the individual behavior, not in aggregate, which is what a thing called media mix modeling does, but you must know that. and you're able to assign proportional credit across a very granular list of marketing channels. Like you saw, weather data against that display ad in mobile. You have to be able to measure at that level because that's what starts to change everything. You've got to find your own commuters, your own sort of targeting capabilities to get it. Here's a good example. You have to be able to measure the ad unit combination number 159, which would be, I made this up, mobile video channel targeting men who have visited a dealership in the last 7 days. That was all states. Or in the case of mobile unit 395 combination, right? A mobile audio channel targeting women who commute by QSR regularly over the last month. That's the level you have to get to. Because within that, you find what I like to call veins of gold that you can exploit to your benefit. And hopefully you do that before your competition does. This multi-touch attribution is the future of measurement. The board is incredibly clear. Now, I want to be fair with you. In the US, only 38% of marketers have this measurement tool. This is happening right now. It is hard, it is complicated, and not easy. And as a result of that, the MMA formed MAT, stands for Marketing Attribution Think Tank. It was the first of the think tanks we've developed to better understand marketing measurement into the future. Within that, we've released a whole series of documents that hopefully guide you and support you in making better decisions around MTA. And fundamentally, these projects, and somebody put it really well to me here, I appreciated that, which is it's a big data project. I'm sure you've all heard about big data. This would be the epitome of that. You need to take and combine all of your digital media, all of your non-digital media, traditional media, along with your conversion data and your audience segments, and bring that all together at a unified ID level. Now, that was a very complicated statement for some of you maybe don't have a background in this kind of measurement, but just understand, walk away with this knowledge that MTA is the future of media measurement. And I'm not saying you're going to have it 6 months from now. You're not even going to have it from a year to now. I know brands who have worked on this for 2 or 3 years and are still working to get it right. But I am telling you, it is the future of our business, and we must learn this as a capability. It is critical to what we're doing. Now, I've got just a couple of minutes left. I want to touch on one other thing really quick, and then I'm going to close up here. We also launched another think tank just this last year called MOST, stands for Marketer Org Structure Think Tank. And it's really fixated on trying to understand why is it that marketers don't lean into the future fast enough? Why don't they get aligned to their business strategy? So MOST is a collection of professors from major universities out of the States that have come together to rethink what a marketer organization should look like. Now, listen, this should be the golden age of marketing, right? We have more personalization, more accountability, more accuracy, more agility than we've ever had in our media businesses. And yet, somehow, we often don't feel that way. We often feel sort of overwhelmed and confused. The single best meeting I've had at the MMA, I happened to bring together the biggest CMOs in the world. I was honored to sit in a room with them, and we asked them a throwaway. We were trying to get to another point, but we asked them a starting question, which is, what is the role of marketing in their organization? Of the 10 CMOs that were in that room, not one of them agreed what was the purpose and intent of marketing. None of them. None of them said exactly the same thing. We are confused at what we do for our companies. We're not clear. We have to get clear on that. And I think as we've started to do some of this work in interviewing major CMOs, that we are getting much clearer as to what that is. We don't know where things sit. We know that tech is eating strategy. We know that disruption's coming, as I mentioned in multi-touch attribution. And we know that we're adding but not really changing. And so how do we do that? In some regards, it's about how do we pull those pieces together, right? This is here. I have an idea of what we need to look like, where the vision is headed, but we have the ideas. We're just not functioning like a team yet. And then you've got this confusion, which is some of us think it's all about brand, some of us thinking that it's all about service, and some of us think that it's all about conversion and transactions. Even within marketing departments, we don't speak the same language. And you combine that with this new orientation by consumers that expects us to be personalized, convenient, and have meaning to what we provide to consumers. It just confuses all of what we need to work about. Now, I don't have time to talk about all of this today, but I want to share with you that we are in the process of working through some marketer org rethink. What do you need to be ready for the future? This example here, even within Gillette, there's 2 different business strategies within the same sector. One sells direct, which is Harry's. The other one sells indirect. It requires totally different capabilities. It requires totally different understandings. Some of us are brand-oriented, some of us are service-oriented, some of us are transaction. Those are the three core dynamics we see of businesses today. And it means that you need to understand what your business is about, what it focuses on, what its clarity is, and then also, too, there's some different combinations of this. So being very clear on what your marketing strategy is critical, because what it means is how you look at your business and how you ultimately align your capabilities to that business. And so I am here to announce today, for the first time publicly anywhere in the world, that the MMA has built a diagnostic tool that is in pilot right now today with major marketers to see how well aligned your marketing capabilities are to what your needs and marketing strategy are. We are quantitatively going to be able to tell you, if you have your marketing strategy, have you aligned to what your ultimate capabilities? Do you have the right skills in-house to do that? So as I mentioned, that tool will be rolling out here sometime in the first quarter of next year. I encourage you to try and have an adoption here for your marketplace to help you figure that out. So with that, I hope that you appreciate all that Rohit and the team is doing to throw a great event like today and to help guide you as marketers into what we hope is really, truly the golden age of marketing. Thank you, everyone. It's great to be here again.